is going on, everybody? It is your boy, your man's Toxic Camel, the Revolution. Back at it with another video, and today we're doing yet another Toxic tier list ranking. Oh yeah. And today we're going to be doing a tier list ranking of all the Walking Dead episodes in the Walking Dead the Telltale series video game, and rank them in tier list fashion except for the Michonne episodes because I haven't played the Michonne game yet, but I'll rank them separately, I guess. But before we get sexual, beginning of the video, what's up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. It's number 1, it's absolutely free. Number 2, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Just 283 away now, really. How about your boy if you did subscribe, and also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm recommended video to more people, and maybe they could join that Toxic fam. With that being said, guys, let's get right into it. And of course, the first episode we're going to start off with is the first episode of this whole entire game series with A New Day, which starts the whole entire season. Did I just say that technically 3 times? I don't know. But A New Day was a good, very solid way to kick things off for the actual game, so I'll put it in the great. I don't think it's one of the best episodes, but it is a great way to introduce all the characters. I mean, if it, I don't know. I might put it in best of the best. If it's in best of the best, it's probably in the very back of best of the best. Let me see. I'm trying to look at all the episodes we got here, and I might change my mind. You know what? Yeah, I'll put it low, best of the best. Great way to open the game series with Lee, such a great protagonist, and that opening scene in the back of the police car with the police officer is very interesting and a great scene to start things off. Then it goes absolutely downhill when the officer has a wreck, and it goes downhill from there. Then Lee eventually meets Clementine, and it starts their relationship together, which that was a cute way to start their little father-daughter-like relationship. Trying to think. Also, I enjoyed the stuff at Herschel's farm, even though it didn't last very, very long. I still enjoyed it, how you got to hang around with Kenny and his family for a little while. Then, after eventually that, you go to the drugstore, and the drugstore is very interesting because you meet all these new characters with Carly, Doug, Larry, Lily. You meet all of them, and adds a very unique dynamic with the group where they think some of them think Duck's bitten, and he's not. So that was interesting way to take the episode. And this one also, you start to learn a little bit about Lee's backstory, which that's a great way to incorporate that into the story. What other stuff can I think of, really? And also the side mission, well, not side mission, but the other mission was interesting too, when you went to go save who? I was about to call Glenn Dave. What the heck? Who is Dave? Anyways, when Lee and Carly go to save Glenn when he's stuck in the ice machine, and he's trying to basically save the girl that's locked herself in the hotel room, and you have that whole entire angle where she basically wants to die because she got bit. And that was definitely a good episode. You can either try to help her and basically let her off herself, or you basically just fight, and then she eventually takes the gun and ends it herself. So, yeah, best of the best. Definitely a great way to kick off the season. Next up, we have Starved for Help. And in my opinion, I don't know, because there's some other episodes here, too, that are banging. This is the best episode right now for me. I love Starved for Help. That is such an amazing episode. I think that's the first episode of Walking Dead, the Telltale series where I fell in love with the game. You have these side villains introduced that you don't know are villains until later on, where there's this mystery about them with the St. John family and what their deal with is with their dairy and stuff. That's very interesting. Also, I really love the scene where Lee has to give food rations to people around the motor inn. I thought that was the most fun free roam segment to choose who you're going to give it to. And of course, for me, I gave it to Clementine, Duck, Kenny, and I think Carly. I don't know who else I did, but it's a great little angle to do in there. Also, you have that final act where you decide to kill the St. John's family or not after you find out they're cannibals. Larry dies in this, which he has a very intriguing way when he dies, where, well, not dies yet, but where you can try to save him and help Lily, or you try and help Kenny kill Larry. And if you help Kenny kill Larry, Kenny will be on your side for most of the season. But if you end up helping Lily, Kenny will be mad at you because you didn't help him try to stop him from becoming a walker. And yeah, just a best of the best episode. I love this episode. So, and it has a hot start too with Ben and his group where they're in the woods and the teacher's caught in the trap. I love that part too. So he goes into best of the best. Next up, we have The Long Road Ahead, which this is when Lee and the group are forced to move out of the motor inn because the bandits. This episode, I will say, where do I put this one? I think out of the ones so far, it's probably my least favorite, but I'll put it great. Because that whole entire sad death scene with Katja and Duck was just, even though I wasn't too attached to Duck and thought he was just annoying sometimes, I thought that death scene was absolutely tragic when you tell Kenny to basically shoot Duck and then end him from not becoming a walker. Katja's death scene, she was a good character, was super sad as well and shocking when it happened. Chuck was a great new character introduced into this series, and you had that drama with someone was stealing their supplies at the motor inn where you're supposed to help Lily find out who it is and stuff. So that was very interesting. And then also at the end of the episode, you get the train moving and you eventually find out about the stranger. Well, does the character actually... okay, I gotta talk to you guys for a second. Does the character, the stranger, whatever his name is, the big bad guy at the end of Walking Dead, the Telltale series, basically, that kidnaps Clementine, does he actually have a name? I just would like to know that right now. Anyways, but you have that little teaser at the end when it ends, and you go, what? That's how you end it? So, yeah, best of, a great episode. Honestly, no. Now that I think about it, no. Best of the best. It deserves to go best of the best, I think. I'll put it above A New Day because I think it is better than A New Day. So we'll put it there. Next up, we got Around Every Corner. So this is when they take the train to Savannah, I believe, with Kenny, and you meet Krista. Well, I forgot to mention that with The Long Road Ahead, too. You meet Kenny and... not Kenny. You meet Omid and Krista on the way there, too. So that was a pretty interesting moment there. So, Around Every Corner... I'll put it great. I don't think it's on the level of the top 3 I have right now. This is the episode where you end up meeting Molly in Savannah, Georgia, and she's a great character. I wish we got to see more of her throughout the series, but she's an awesome character. You have that whole entire break into, I forgot, Crawford sequence where you go to the school and try to get a battery, gas, and medical supplies. That was a great sequence to help Omid and also help with the boat. Also, Chuck's death in here is very sad. The whole entire, probably one of the best sequences in Walking Dead, I will say, is the scene where Kenny is looking at the Walker kid. That's probably one of the most saddest scenes, too, when he's looking at the Walker kid, and they basically put him out of his misery and burying him with his dog. That was very sad. So that was definitely one of the most saddened episode that was one of the most sad moments in all of the Walking Dead seasons per 100. Is that pretty much it I can think of for this episode? Yeah, the end of the episode, Lee ends up getting. Wait, or is that the beginning of the last episode? I believe this is it at the ending of this episode. Lee ends up getting bitten. So that was pretty shocking that Lee ended up getting bitten. So, and Clementine disappears. So, great episode, I think, in my mind. But not best of the best, though. And then we have the final episode. Well, if you count 400 days, which we'll get to that. No Time Left, which is the finale. And you know what? This was a very well done finale, I think. Do I put it above A New Day? I don't know. I definitely do put it best of the best. These two right now, I don't know where to put it. But I'll probably put it above A New Day, just because that ending sequence alone with Lee dying and Clementine is forced to shoot him or force her to leave you, basically. That scene was just so impactful, easily the saddest scene in this whole entire game, and maybe even in The Walking Dead in general, like TV shows, video games, all that. It was definitely the most saddest scene. You get to actually see the person that's been talking to Clementine on the walkie-talkie, the stranger, and you get to learn his backstory, which I find that very interesting, why he's coming after you and your group, where he's the person in... Oh, I forgot to mention that at the end of Starved for Help, where he's the person that owned the car that had all the food and supplies in the back of the van. I thought that was a very interesting way to interpret a villain, because he's not really a villain, because he's just mad that you caused him and his family to die. So, best of the best. And you also get that awesome sequence, too, where Lee is on the way to the Marsh house, slaying zombies left and right. Yeah, just the best of the best episode. I do think it's better than A New Day, so I'll put it there. So, best of the best. Next up, we have 400 Days. Yeah, I didn't care about that. I didn't care about that episode. If they make a 5th season of Walking Dead, they're going to have to... There's only one way they can keep me interested if they don't bring Clementine back. If they bring Kenny into it. Anyways, different story. I'll make a video of that on its own probably this week about my idea for a season 5, a television series to go route, and also why A New Frontier doesn't suck. Anyways, this episode is just nothing, basically. It doesn't provide anything, to be honest, with any of the seasons. Yes, it brings some of the season 2 characters, especially Bonnie, into season 2 for The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, but it's not important, because if you get the others to come, it doesn't even matter, because they don't even appear much, you just get little cameos of them, because in Walking Dead, the season 2, you get a glimpse of Wyatt there, but that's pretty much it. Those are the only 2 guaranteed to go, Wyatt and Bonnie, but all the rest of them, no, they don't end up coming. And yeah, the only story, well, I can't really say that. The only story I think I really liked, I can't even say liked, the only episode I thought was interesting in this whole entire different side stories gathering was the Vincent part of the story, but otherwise, no. 400 Days, toxic trash. I do not like that episode, and I hope, fingers crossed, I never have to play that again, because that episode adds nothing to the table. And if you took it away and they just added the new the characters from this in Walking Dead season 2 without this, I wouldn't even be mad, because that I think they can perfectly fit into that story without this. So, yeah. What just happened? Oh boy, what just happened? Okay. Anyways, next up we have All That Remains, which is the first episode of season 2. And for the first episode of season 2, let me think. I'm trying to remember how things left off in the end. So how it ended, I'm pretty sure, is Pete, you have to say Pete or Nick, and then second episode, it follows what happens there. And I'll probably bring this flaw up a little bit more in depth with the actual seasons ranking once I play the Michonne series. But season 2 has a lot. For me, even though I still like the season a whole lot, I do think it's a good season, it just has a whole lot of stupid character deaths. This one doesn't have any, but it's still kind of iffy with that. Well, there's one. That's what I was thinking of. Omid's death is stupid, how they killed him off. How they just have that one girl shoot him and kill him off, and then Krista eventually shoot him and kill him off. They also do not explain what happens afterwards with Krista's baby, which I think it's pretty obvious that Krista's baby sadly didn't survive, but they could have at least added a little bit more explanation to that, but they don't really do that. But otherwise, I think it is a Toxic Goodness episode. It is a good episode to introduce season 2, because the relationship between Sam and Clementine, when you stumble upon Sam the dog, is very cute while it lasts, until Sam, being the selfish dog he is, he just decides to... Well, no, you can't blame him. He was starving, but basically, you want some beans for yourself, but he's trying to get some beans too, and then he's just trying to survive too, and you eventually have to kill... Well, Sam eventually dies. You have to kill him or leave him, so... Yeah, that was a sad moment in the first time I played season 2, I was going like, no, I don't want to kill Sam, but I had to, so... Yeah, it was a good part of that episode, and then you would get introduced to the new cast of characters in season 2 with Luke, Pete, Nick, Carlos, Sarah, Alvin, Rebecca, all of them. So, and yeah, they're not great in this episode. They do definitely get further good development of their characters throughout the season. So I'll put it in Toxic Goodness. Next up, we have A House Divided. So this is takes off where the first episode left off, where you, and depending on who you save, Pete or Nick, you end up going with... Well, I saved Pete. So if you save Pete, you end up going with him in the back of a... I don't know what type of van it was, but you basically just stick around while he's still bit, and they're trying to find out how to get to the group without drawing Walker's attention. So there's some decent moments in this episode. The one that comes to mind is when you first meet Carver at the kind of beginning of the episode, where you're supposed to be watching Sarah and protecting her. You have that nice little talk with Carver where he seems very mysterious and alluring, and you don't know if he's a good guy or not. Trying to think of any other. And then also you have this amazing moment later on where you find out Kenny's still alive, yay, and then you basically hug him. Well, I think almost all of us hugged him when we eventually saw him and saw that he was alive. You get a good character in Walter, getting introduced to him. You have that whole entire subplot where Walter finds out that Matthew is dead, and basically Nick killed him. So you're trying to convince convince Walter that Nick is actually a good guy. So that was pretty interesting as well. Then Carver eventually coming back into the episode later on and getting Walter killed was definitely a sad part of that episode. So I'll put it Toxic Goodness. I don't think it's great because you get 400 Days characters sometimes in here. And it's not as memorable as the other ones I have above it, in my personal opinion. Then we have In Harm's Way, which this is kind of the escape plan movie, escape plan version of the Walking Dead, the Telltale series, where it leads to where you left off in the last episode, where you eventually get taken to Carver's community and you meet new characters with Mike and Jane and Bonnie. Well, even though you already met her in episode 2. But I think out of the episodes in season 2, I think this one probably is my favorite that I can think of. So then again, I wouldn't put it best of the best, but I still think it's a great episode. Well, do I put it around above around every corner? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'll put it above around every corner. I just like that whole entire. Whenever movies do that or video games do that, I'm fully invested in that type of story. You also have Kenny lose an eye in this episode. You have a very intense sequence when Sarah slaps no, when Carlos slaps Sarah, when Carver forces him to do that. That was pretty dark and messed up. You have trying to think what other stuff happened. You have Reggie. Well, you have a bunch of moments throughout here where it shows how brutal Carlos can be when he killed Reggie and shoved him off the roof. And you also find out how smart he is when he eventually finds out that you stole the walkie-talkie. That was very interesting as well. And it has a shocking character death with Carlos, which I do admit I think is a good character death, because how that kind of sets Sarah off, I like that, and also how he kind of saved her. So I thought that was a good part of the episode. So, and one of the better deaths in season 2, I must admit. So it goes there. Next up, we got Amid the Ruins, which this is the episode where this one I'm probably gonna have mixed emotions about. So I'll put it in okay. I don't know about this one, actually. I don't know where to put this one. I might put it meh, honestly. Okay, I think is fine for it, because I don't think it's on the level of 400 Days. So this is the episode where you have both different versions of Sarah dying, which both ways she dies are stupid. To be honest, if you were to ask me which death would not be as stupid, probably the one where you just leave her, honestly, because she has a deck dropped on her later on if you do decide to smack some sense into her literally and save her. Trying to think. Then you also have Rebecca's stupid death later on, but at least you have her give birth to Alvin, and Alvin Jr. gets birthed into this world, and is a big part, obviously, later on in the seasons throughout. And then you have the introduction of Arvo, which Arvo, but the way they introduce him is, I do admit, is kind of interesting. But the episode, I just have a whole bunch of mixed feelings about. So that episode goes into okay for me. Yeah. Then we have No Going Back, which this is where This one, I don't know. I have to think about it because Luke's death brings this down so much for me, honestly, and also the whole entire subplot with Jane, where Jane is trying to prove how crazy Kenny can be by hiding AJ in a car and making it seem like he's dead for some odd what reason. Which originally I was gonna put Jane in like a good B tier for my characters ranking, but she ended up doing that at the end of season 2, and it's just why would you do that? Because I do admit in Amid the Ruins, you get a lot of character development with her and you follow her journey, but this one just didn't make sense. Why would she do that? But you do. Jane and Kenny, I do admit, have a pretty good fight, but Luke's death and that whole entire Jane subplot brings this down for me. So. And also, I do admit there's some positives in here too, with the whole entire Wellington sequence with Kenny when you either decide to leave him or stay with him. That was definitely a very emotional sequence. Probably, I think I put that second most emotional sequence out of all of them. So there is some positive sides to that. So for that reason, I think I'll probably put this one. I'll put it Toxic Goodness. I think it's good. It's the best out of all three. Do I put it above? I think I'll put it in between. I think that's good for me. Now we move on to season 3, A New Frontier, where you play as a new protagonist and Javi. So this one, I think these episodes specifically are going to be the hardest to try to remember out of all of them, to be honest with you. So, yeah, this one's going to be the toughest to remember. I think I pretty much remember all the other episodes in the other seasons, but this one, I don't know. So first episode, I can't really comment on because I have to remember. So Javi gets introduced, and you have that whole entire sequence with David after his father passes away. It has a great opening sequence. I will admit, it does have a great opening sequence. And the journey that Javi, Kate, Mariana, and Gabe go through at the beginning when they're in the RV is interesting. I do think I do like that part of the story. Also, the flashbacks with Clementine, I think I enjoyed, but again, you don't get to play as her much, unfortunately, so that's eh. But aside from that, I can't really remember anything. Decent way to start off season 3 A New Frontier, but I can't really say. Okay, we're gonna add a. Wait, what? No. Go down. Okay, there you go. I was trying to add another category. Let me add a row above. I will put it. I'm doing this mid video here. I'm gonna put it in the decent category. Because it's somewhere right in the middle. I can't really say it's a good episode, but I can say it's decent. I can say it's decent for what it is. Then all that, the ties that bind. This one, I can't even remember much. I know this is the episode where you kill Conrad. Well, why I say you kill Conrad is because most people, I'm pretty sure, killed him off so you couldn't have him capture Clementine, you know. But that's the only thing I remember about it, and also the cliffhanger ending with David eventually being revealed to be alive somehow. But and you get introduced to Paul. So Paul is Paul/Jesus from the Walking Dead TV show. So, and out of all the people from the Walking Dead TV show that come into the video game, he definitely has the biggest role. But this episode, it was okay. It was okay. I think I put Amid the Ruins above it. Next up, Above the Law. So this is the episode where you're actually exploring Richmond. I believe that's what it's called, right? Yeah. Where you're exploring Richmond with David and starting to get along with him a little bit more. You're starting to understand the basics of how the community works there, and you get introduced to all four of the leaders with Clint, Joan, and Lingard. That's pretty much it. And you also get the flashbacks with Clem, with what happened with AJ. I'm trying to remember what else happened. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Really nice, AJ. Well, there is a positive here where you get at the end. Near the no, it's not really near the end, but when you have the choice to kill Badger or not, you can certainly do it. So, which that was definitely yes, kill him. So, but yeah, yeah. Clementine comes back, but this one, no, actually, I think I'm gonna move this one down. It's meh. It's meh. Meh. All right. Next up, Thicker Than Water. So, the number one, if you guys watch my shorts, you know this is probably the number one part I remember about this is, how do I say this? Clementine. That's the number one part I remember about this. Everything else, the problem with the New Frontier is most of the episodes are pretty forgettable. Like, there's moments that you remember, but you don't even remember what sort of moments those are from, Because I only played season 2 once, and I remember a particular part from every episode that's in that, a part of that episode that's in that episode, and I know which episode it is. Season 3 in New Frontier, I don't really remember that. So, this one, I don't remember jack crap about this. So, I'm just gonna put it meh, because I do not remember much about this. And then we have the finale of A New Frontier with From the Gallows, which which I do like this episode because of all the different endings you can have with your playthrough through A New Frontier, where you have the ending where David dies and Gabe and Kate die, where Gabe and Kate survive. Then you have the ending where David and Gabe die, and Kate dies. I don't know. Basically, you get it. There's a bunch of different endings throughout the game. So I do like that part about it. And I also enjoy how you choose how you choose the story to go, what I'm saying. Also, you have the option to kill Joan in here too. I forgot to mention. Or was that? No, that was the last episode before that. So this one, again, it leaves off on a good note with them saying goodbye to Clementine, and it does do a good job of leading into the final season. So, for that reason, I'll put it decent. I'll probably put it above Ties That Bind. Okay, now we're on to the final season. So, and back to the episodes that I remember. Done Running is the first episode, of course. You get AJ a little bit grown up, but he's still a kid. So you get the start of that relationship, and you see where Clem and AJ's relationship is at in that. So that part, I think this one's decent. It's a good way to kick off the season 4. It's just, it doesn't have a lot to offer compared to all the rest. I think all the rest of the episodes in the 4th season. You get introduced to all the characters from the school, which is Violet, Marlon, Lewis, Tennessee, Ruby, Mitch, Willie, Amid, and Chef Omar. So yeah, that's cool, but it's just it's a decent episode. It's decent, but not nearly as great as some of the other episodes on this. Suffering the Children, is the next episode, which second episode in season 4, which Suffering the Children I do think is a great episode. I really enjoy what they do where they're setting up for the big battle between Lily and her camp, if you will, with Abel. I loved that part of the game mode. You also get you get you get to renew your ties with the people from the school with Lewis, Violet, Tennessee, Ruby, all of them. So that was definitely cool there. Is that pretty much all that I can think of, really? Yeah, well, I mean, that is the big part of the episode, building up to that big fight near the end. So, and you do have that great decision near the end too, where you have to choose Lewis or Violet to save. So, yeah, this one I'll probably no, actually, do I want to put it in best of the best because I really liked this episode. Just for the reason why I don't put it in best of the best is just because there's nothing really to offer besides that in this episode. So, yeah, great. And now I feel, no, this deserves to go into good because there's a bunch of intrigue with that whole entire Marlon Brody thing in the basement. I like that. So that goes decent. No toxic goodness now. Broken Toys. So this is the episode where you basically do the breakout plan, try to get Omar a sim. I don't know why I called him Amid for a second. But Omar, a sim, and Violet or Lewis, you try to get them out. Which this is the best of the best for me. I think this is a great way to build up to that too, and you have that whole entire party sequence where you find a little bit more about each of the students there, so that's awesome as well. Also, I forgot to mention for Suffer the Children too, you get the you know what? No. Best of the best too, because you get that whole entire relationship decision where you want to be with Violet or you want to be with Lewis. You know, so but Broken Toys, great episode. And I enjoy how they're trying to play in the breakout sequence, also the party sequence. So, best of the best. I love Broken Toys. And then finally, we have Take Us Back. Ironically, the song is named Take Us Back at the end of the episode. And Take Us Back was a perfect way to end off the whole entire series. I'll put it... I'm trying to think... Okay, I'll put it second best. It's the second best episode. It perfectly ended the Walking Dead, the Telltale series series with the whole entire flashback sequence where Clementine's saving AJ. The Clementine gets bit and AJ doesn't know what to do to save her and stuff. The deaths in here were pretty shocking with Tennessee or Lewis or Violet, whichever pick you go with when you trust AJ or don't trust AJ to make the right calls. Minerva, you get that epic sequence with her where she's singing that one song and she's got a bite on her face and stuff. That was pretty epic. So yeah, of course, how could I not mention Clementine alive, baby, in both endings, and AJ and Clementine just embraced. That was such an amazing moment. I'm glad they kept Clementine alive, because if they ever kill off Clementine, that'll be the biggest mistake of their lives. Unless if they kill her off in the book series that they have, where she's kind of not even the same person. If they kill her off in there, sure. But don't make that actually chronologically a part of the game series. Anyways, but yeah, best of the best. So yeah, but with that being said, guys, as I said before, I can't rank the Michonne episodes because I haven't played the game yet, but I will play the Michonne series soon, probably next Saturday, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's my sister's wedding, so but before we get into the actual ending of the video itself, guys, do feel free to comment your list down below. And with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody.